G'day members, listeners. Just take a little bit of time out here to go over Moonee Valley for tomorrow. 9 race card. Second race is a race with a handful of first starters. I haven't really done that yet. We'll just wait and see how that looks in the morning. Soft track. Word is that there's a fair bit of wear and tear along the fence. Thanks, King, from the 400 to the winning post. So that's a little bit of a concern, just with how that's going to play, and the issue that we had last time we raced at Moonee. Well, the last two times, first time we raced there for the winter, it was certainly a track where you wanted to be getting to the outside and running on, and the track did appear to be even enough. However, it was a little bit better in the straight, and then we had the other meeting, and basically the track was in appalling order. It was very wet around the back, and quite firm in the straight, and it was very difficult to be able to find the horse that got to that right part of the track in the straight. And had they obviously, when they get to that part of the track in the straight at Moonee Valley, the straight's so small that you quite often don't have enough time to do anything with it anyway. So it was quite difficult. I'm not sure what we're going to expect tomorrow, but we do know that the word is the fence will probably be off. If that means that 2 off or 3 off the fence won't be off, I don't know yet. So we're just going to have to take it as it comes. But on to race 1, and look, we've got a race here that most of the field meet again, and that was a race won by Nola's Choice. Look, she'd been going quite well and had the Whistle Baby form, and certainly that was a walkathon, that race. They didn't go hard at all, and she was able to just enjoy a good run in behind the leading pack, and had the best sprint, and covered the least ground. So it all it all added up pretty well for her, and I think that she looks like she's probably going to be the one that they need to beat again. She's probably not going to get that dream run, but in saying that, she can probably loop the field from sort of a midfield position and get out into the middle. So she looks like she'll be hard to beat. It's a tough race. Coronation Chelan's been running well. We've been on it the last couple of runs. It rates well again. Flying Hostess historically, is the best horse in the race, and I thought that she did pretty well last start. Wide the trip, albeit off a slow tempo, and we've got Every Faith that ran on well first up in the same race. And what else have we got there? Hula Lua resumes from a very long spell. Obviously was a talented horse, and Melaleuca is probably the one that comes through a little bit of a different form line, and she goes quite well. She doesn't come. Sorry, I've clicked on the wrong horse here on my computer. She was only beaten a couple of lengths by Orion at Caulfield a couple of starts ago, and she's sort of gone okay on the wet before, and she could just be the one that comes to a little bit of a different form line that could run well. But all in all, it's a difficult race, so we'll see how we go there. As I said, race 2, we've got nothing at this stage. On the race 3, and looks a good race for us, this one. Coming through the Mornington, Ranel Harmony has won her last 2 starts there, and she was a standout at Mornington. She won very well. It was a dominant victory. She produced figures of around 10 lengths above the standard for Mornington over 1,000 metres, and clocked over a speed figure of around 120. And if I sort of go back to her first prep, when she won her maiden at Yarra Glen, she went 10 lengths above standard for the 1200. So, she sort of, has always been pretty handy. And yeah, she looks, like she's right in this race. And she did start, I think, second favourite behind Her Story at Sandown over 1,400 metres last prep. So she's right around the mark, but she's low level flying this filly. And there's a couple of horses that, one's just been scratched, sorry, but White House Lady comes through the same race. Her Story is the other runner that rates highly. Obviously, it has beat home Our Harmony, but that was at 1,400 metres. But that aside, she resumed with a very good run behind Duke of Brunswick. I think that was certainly a winning run for this. And, she rated highly on the day, and she's been able to show us on that occasion that she could get through the soft track. We do know from history that she can get through the good track also. And if we sort of cast our eye back to last prep, she's got a pretty strong class figure in behind Tasby and Bayuna, and that that run pretty much stacks up quite well here. So I think that Her Story and Our Harmony are clearly the two to beat, and I think that the other horse, White House Lady, that comes through the Our Harmony race is probably the best at odds. Testability seems to go around unders all the time, and it'll probably drift out to our price. I think $5 is too short. Shakespearean Lass, she's had 2 epic failures now at 1,200. I can't see why she'd be able to turn the tables now. And the other one was Propelled, who was handy and is returning from injury. But I think that certainly Our Harmony and Her Story, it's not a lot between them on the figures, and I think that whichever one of those gets the better run looks the winner. On the race 4, and looks a good race, this one. I've got Raposo rated on top. He just missed out last start in the Her Story Duke of Brunswick race. He gets the claim again. The reality is there's sort of no Duke of Brunswick in this race. But the heavens did open for him on the fence last start also. So, he's the one to beat. Is he going to get the run? That's the gamble. So, he's been able to show us that he can get through the soft track. He's got strong form lines through Our Harmony and Rough Justice, and obviously just lost by a bob of the head to Duke of Brunswick. And you'd probably think that from the inside they're probably going to try and get an inside run. If he has to loop the field, then obviously it's going to cost him a few more lengths, isn't it? And whether or not he can pull that off, we'll see. But certainly his form tracks back well to his initial campaign through Fontaine Ruby and Coram, and they go quite well. So he looks like he's in for a really good run tomorrow. Kansas Sunflower is in here. It's had a freshen up and it's back from 2000, which is a little bit hard to get a line on. But this Luke Oliver bloke tends to go all right. The trainer, the horse has 2 starts back, handled itself pretty well on a soft track in Adelaide in a Group 3, and then produced a decent sort of class figure when beaten 7 lengths in the SA Derby. It was the Australasian Oaks behind Delicacy. And look, won first up at Yarra Glen. Beat a subsequent Kyneton Maiden winner in Gilchrist. That was at 1,200. Its best form's probably 1,400 to a mile, but it looks like it's got a fair bit of class. So it's probably not ideal, the fact that it's back, but there's not a lot of class in the race, so we need to respect it. And then we've got Moonee, and he sort of needs a lot to go right, this horse. He did it hard, through, he went really hard last start on that track. So he's just going to have to get himself into a good spot, and certainly he's got a lot of class, this horse. And when I say class relative to the field, he's number one. So he's right up there. Also, he stacks right up. But he's got an apprentice on board that ranks ninth in the race, and we've got a horse like Kansas Sunflower with Dunn, who's the best jockey and coming off, I think, 3 or 4 winners today. So he's Kansas Sunflower. It sort of ticks a fair few boxes. And then we've got Valderrama, who, look, I thought its win on debut at Geelong on the synthetic was quite good. I boosted it, gave it a good bonus on that win for the base figures, and just doing the videos. It's another one where it probably went a little bit better than its figure, but it just I just sleep on that one. I'm not quite sure where it sort of fits in, but its overall time wasn't flash, and beat one half Spaniard, and we saw that horse today sort of get well beaten by a really impressive one. And yeah, I think this horse Valderrama might be pretty good, but just coming off a speed figure of 84 and an overall raw figure of 2.6 lengths below the benchmark for Geelong 1200, it might be one we're just sort of happy to work around and just go with the exposed class. But we'll see how we go there. On the race 5, and it looks a nice race, this one, race 5. Look, I've got Pelly's Wish rated on top. Basically, the figures on my end are, pretty much match up with the market. There looks to be a little bit of value around Pelly's Wish. We've got at 340 there. They're shopping around 460. I think that's probably going to be. I think that's a pretty good price if we knew how the track was going to play. That'd definitely breed very well. But if the scratching one, is the fence going to be off? So they're just a few of the little queries that we're unsure of at this stage. But look, certainly, when we backed her last start, I assessed her off, some pretty good runs. She had, good form first up, historically behind Shrekandy, good runs was behind Shrekandy and Solicit. And she did look to be a little bit disappointing last campaign, but I think that, once we took the line through Paddy's Gem, who was competitive with the bowler, certainly the 70s that she came through on that occasion historically have ended up quite a bit stronger than that. So, I think that she looks in really well. It's very, very hard to sort of fault her at all tomorrow. And, with luck from that draw, she looks your winner. I think Wild Rain, a little bit hard to get a line on this horse, but it's sort of hard to put a line through it all together. It ran pretty good down the straight first up on the soft. Then it went to Adelaide and won quite well, and had 4 weeks between runs into that Valley run, and it was its first go at 1200, and it was up on the speed. So, if you sort of 4 weeks between runs from Morphettville to Moonee Valley, first run at 1200, crappy track, there's sort of enough to sort of suggest there that we probably need to be a little forgiving of this horse. And obviously it beat Cash by a couple of lengths at Morphettville when it won. And Cash came down the worst part of the straight and was only beaten 3 lengths by Husson Eagle. So I think there's enough merit in the form around Wild Rain, around the 1,000 to certainly give it another chance. And Menage carries the top weight. Look, she's going to be another one that appreciates getting back to the 1,000 metres. She does have to carry the bigger weight of those two, and I don't think that's really a huge issue, but how hard she's going to have to work early to get across, that's probably the thing with her. And her figures historically do seem to probably be better on firmer going, but in saying that, it really doesn't appear that she's been really asked to produce on on the type of surface. So we can't write her off totally. She's by commands, and I'm sure she'll go well. But certainly, where she's going to get to from that gate is she's probably just going to jump and run, and whether she gets a little bit tired late. Wild Rain, and he's probably going to be up there, and Pilly Swish will probably be taking a sit somewhere on the fence looking to get off. So, a couple of tricky little situations here on the map. So we'll just wait and see how it all pans out. So on to the next race, and it looks another good race, this one. So we were lucky enough to back Metaphorical last time she won. She came over from an Adelaide performance where she had standout figures and certainly carried them through. And she looks a standout again here. Again, we probably think that by this time of day, running on down the centre will be no disadvantage. And that from barrier 9, that's sort of where she's going to get. She'll probably settle midfield a bit worse and blend into the race and sort of do what she did last time and just work down the middle big time. So she, she's got a real big turn of foot, and it looks as though she's going to get another opportunity to win a race. It all looks pretty good for her, so it's sort of hard to not imagine her really being right in the finish. So big win last start. She obviously beat subsequent winner Digitalism and Refulgent, who came out and he's always around the mark. So I think that's pretty good form, and I think that's the horse that they need to beat. No doubt. Alcohol comes over from Adelaide. Obviously, it's a classy type of horse. Look, the horse can get back, and it's probably going to be coming with its run at a similar time to Metaphorical. They've both got a pretty good turn of foot. We just have Metaphorical going a little bit better at this stage, that's all. But we've got a little bit of room to move there. Look, Texton Hurley came through the same race as Metaphorical in Adelaide and Moonee Valley last start, and it was well fancied and failed. Look, the horse has gone okay before on the soft. So we'll just sort of monitor that. I wasn't quite sure what to do with that horse. And Ompacalo, I thought, ran pretty well. And, he's coming off a good run at Swan Hill, but he's probably a little bit short. And King's Dance is a nice progressive horse. I think he's definitely a horse that can win some city races, but he may just have ran into a race a little bit too hot for him here. But we'll sort of see how he goes, but he looks a bit short. And Sadaka, who generally always goes well, and I think we'll appreciate the sting out this horse. And he looks to be value around the mark at 20. So we'll sort of see how we go there, but I think Metaphorical's the standout. On to race 7, and here we have, look, this word of mouth appears to rate a lot better. I've put in, I've give this horse a penalty here because I'm just sort of thinking that the fence will be no good. And if I give him a double penalty, he comes out at 3:10. And if I don't give him a penalty, he's much, much shorter. This horse is a standout on recent class figures. He clearly should have won last start in Sydney. And I would think that the only thing he has to do here is beat the barrier. That's the bet. Can he beat the barrier? And by this stage, we'll know. So he's just clearly the horse to beat, without doubt. He's a standout on the figures, and not the speed. He's around the mark on the speed. There's a couple other horses that can churn out a good run here, but they don't have the consistent class figures to back it up. And this horse, word of mouth, if we sort of take a look at his run 2 starts ago at Flemington, he's sort of beaten less than 3 lengths, hitting the line hard behind Magical and Kenjawood, and that's a lot better than this level. And obviously last start it was a tragedy beaten in Sydney. It should have won. He's no star, this horse, but he'll get through the soft ground, and he's fit. 2000s his go. Maloney goes well. It's just the gate. Can he overcome the barrier? So we'll see how he goes there, and we'll just monitor the rest, because the rest, what we do with the rest, will depend on if we have word of mouth shorter or not. Look, on the race 9, the lucky last, I believe. Oh, no, sorry, on the race 8. And look, Digitalism looks a standout. Another standout. It's a day of standouts at the Valley. Don't you worry about that. Look, this horse gets in very well. After the claim, he gets in on the minimum with 54. He ran to 122 speed last start, and nothing's in the same ballpark. He's got 3-4 lengths on him on speed. He's the best horse on class. He meets them at set weights, basically, minus a kilo or 2 here and there for some claims. And he just looks a standout. They can get beat. They always do. But, this horse was brilliant last start, and brilliant for this grade, and he's just going to be very, very hard to beat. So clear standout, Digitalism. Look, he's drawn barrier 3. I think that they could probably, from that position, I'm guessing they can get to where they need to be regardless, and the horse is going so well. He's going to be really hard to beat. So it's going to take a good one to beat him. If they are to beat him, Commanding Time's going well. I thought his run 2 back was good. Historically, he gets through the soft pretty well, and he's probably reaching peak fitness. Nolan goes on. So, there's a fair bit to like about this horse outside of Digitalism. And the other one's Farlago. And look, he was unable to win last start at Swan Hill. However, he was 22 days between runs. After the claim for McNeil, he dropped 7 kilos on that run, which is significant. And if we track his form back to his 3rd up run at Geelong, he was basically beaten a whisker by Digitalism. Now, Digitalism meets him a little bit better at the weights, but it's sort of, on that run, it's hard to not have a little bit of respect for this horse. And he does sort of go okay on the wet. He won on the heavy 3 back, and his only other exposure was on a slow track up in Sydney, where he was beaten 2 lengths by Amanpour. He ran second to Amanpour on that day, and Amanpour was the subsequent Group 1 winner over a mile at Randwick. So look, I'm not saying that Falago's at this level, but I think with that Amanpour reference on the soft tracks over a similar distance, with the big weight drop of 7 kilos, and the form reference through Digitalism at Geelong this campaign, he certainly has to be in your market. And despite Digitalism going on and recording stronger figures this campaign, you probably have to look at evening them up, because there probably isn't going to be a great deal between these two tomorrow either. So, look, I think Digitalism, in saying that though, should have them covered. And aside from that, we're looking at Commanding Time, who is under Zoe, and Falago, who's the second rated. And on the race 9, and this is a mess, this race. An absolute mess, as you can see by the KPIs. They are all over the shop, and not a great deal agrees with each other. But we've managed to have some good success in these situations and some failures. It all comes down to, can we get the right price? Look, Le Bon Sir, he's just got this bad gait, hasn't he? But we don't know, mightn't be that bad a gait by this stage. But this horse continually rates over 100 pretty much when he gets to Moonee Valley over 1,200 metres. And, he's got very strong form tracking back through listed and group races. He's a horse that has been able to show a liking for slow tracks. And I thought that his run 2 back at Flemington was quite good. And behind Lamosti, and obviously first up was quite good. So, look, back to Moonee Valley. I think we need to be forgiving of this horse's run at Swan Hill. Back to the Valley. He's certainly got a tremendous record here, and he just has to beat the barrier, which is going to be his biggest obstacle. But there's no doubt that he's probably going to be right there in the end. Desert Journey resumes. He's obviously a crack miler that's not crack really good, and he's coming out of some good races. He's shown in the past that he probably doesn't really appreciate really heavy tracks, but he has gone okay on tracks that how we'd probably expect it to race tomorrow. So, look, he's a bit of a head scratcher, this horse. If we rated him on his best, clearly beating a length in the Toorak by Trusting August, we know how good that form is. So we'll just see what happens there. And then we've got a host of other horses. Henwood, probably a little bit better on my figures at 1,400, but he gets a soft track. We've got Moran, he never wins, but he's always value. Rock and Gold, who I haven't finalised. We'll see how where he ends up and how the track plays. He was good last start. Just a very difficult race. So we will certainly just monitor that one and adjust as we approach. But that concludes today. So I know a few listeners rate my voice and how it sounds when I talk about horses. So I'm keen to get some feedback on how confident you can tell me I am. But certainly there looks to be a handful of standouts tomorrow. And, I think the planets have aligned for a few runners that really should be able to stamp themselves with wins. It's just going to be the variables that come into play, but hopefully by looking at it race to race, we can overcome those variables and have a good day. So thanks for listening. All the best, and we'll see you then.